I actually push them to build their brand, which I think is a little non-traditional for most teams. For me, I introduce them as a selling partner, and I say you can grow as much as you want under living in Arizona if you just kick butt and all of a sudden you're crushing it and you feel like you're ready to step up and have a team. I'll help show you how to do it. Because eventually, if you don't give them what's next for me other than sales, why would they stay with you? I break it down to this. What's your store look like? If I Google you, is your store another really boring page of just listed, just sold, and random Canva things that every other realtor does? Like, what's on your website? Do you have any reviews? What is your actual store? Because consumers start where? They start online. Is your name, phone number, and email, and link tree tied to your accounts? If they stumble across your social media, what's going to keep them there? Valuable content will. Something triggers in their head, and they're like, that video got me. I think I should ask them about buying an Airbnb in Scottsdale.
You're listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, my man,
what's
another
up?
Friday, another day of fun and podcasts. This is actually the first one. We had a cancellation, unfortunately, earlier today, but we're here. We are live. We're live here. This is a recording. But how you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. I am, it's kind of weird. It's 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and we're only on our first one. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a long afternoon, isn't it? We're going to have to do like 5 solos this week. So yeah, it's good, man. What's new in your world in Bogota?
In Bogota, it's chilly here, man. You know, I'm gonna pound out this podcast. We're gonna do another podcast. I'm gonna go to the gym. Have a sales call this evening with somebody, and yeah, man, you know, things are good. Lots of momentum happening.
Late Friday night sales call.
Yeah.
So is that a booty call or a sales call?
It's a sales call. Trust me, it's a sales call. Don't you worry.
It could be both, right?
It could definitely be both. But trust me when I say it is a sales call. It's a gentleman who just finished a trial. From Vancouver, I believe he's from. He just finished trial, went through it. We're going to chat a little bit more about next steps tonight. But how about you, man? What's shaking in your world?
Oh, you know, just doing call reviews and mind boggled why even when you work with clients and you say, give them exactly what to say and how to say it, and you practice it with them, and I get it because it takes time to form a new habit. So I get it. It's easy to go back to what you used to do. And it's easy to, when you're under stress, right? We all have an emotional home. And so when you're under stress, you go back to your emotional home. So if you've been doing something for 6 years and then you start something 30 days in, you pick up little pieces of it over time, but it's like going to the gym. You know, the first day you go to the gym, you're like, okay, I'm going to walk the stairs. Second day you go to the gym, you're like, hey, I'm going to walk the stairs. I'm going to use that one machine over there. Third day, you're like, oh, I'm going to use that machine, and I'm going to do the treadmill today, right? So you start to play around and you figure out what's working and what you need and where you're strong, where you're weak. And it's the same thing when you learn a new process or you learn a new system of selling or communicating or lead generating. You need time to play with all the components.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, just a normal day. I'm pretty boring, Cody. I'm not as cool as you.
Well, you know, thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, I'll appreciate the love. But we have Alexander Prewitt here with us today.
All right.
From Arizona, and we were actually in the green room, and we were talking about sales. We're talking about some Jerry Minor NAPQ training. But so, Alex, welcome to the show. Why don't you give us a high level overview? Yeah, welcome. Why don't you give us a high-level overview on kind of like how you got into real estate in 30 seconds, a minute, cold notes version? How are you here today?
Love it. What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Yeah, we'll go 30,000 foot flyover. Been in real estate 11 years now. Got in the game, stumbled into it right out of college. Needed a job because I couldn't find one that I graduated for in my degree. Went into real estate. Got a part-time, like a minimum wage job, putting up signs, lock boxes, doing appraisal, BPO reports. And from there, everything grew. I got into the short sale REO world. Then I got into the real estate team world with paid Zillow leads and things like that. And then here I am 11 years later, and I have a team, a 15-person team, and I'm in Scottsdale, born and raised in Tucson. So I've kind of gone through all of the cycles, from kind of a funky down market with REOs and short sales to a neutral market, been part of teams, grown teams, experienced the paid leads, all of the social farming, stuff like that. So now I'm here and I run a team here in Scottsdale. So it's kind of a quick overview.
We were in the green room and we were chatting prior to, and you had mentioned that you were doing a lot of sales-based things with Jeremy Miner. You're kind of like doing the NAPQ stuff, which is, it's always interesting whenever we chat with a real estate agent, because even to try to potentially get them to use a script is like clawing at teeth. And you've gone like a whole nother level where you're like, hey, I'm investing back into my business. I'm investing back into myself in order to become an even better salesperson. And you've already built a successful team. You've already done all these things. Like, I guess, what is the value of you continuing to figure out how to effectively communicate? And is this something that you're teaching your team, or like, where do you think you're getting the value out of what you're learning currently? Because it sounds like you're consistently reinvesting back into yourself and your business.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it comes down to right now in this market, you didn't get paid the same way you got paid last year or the year before. You get paid now to solve problems. So what worked last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, no matter how good you were, like last year, I was number 26 agent out of 70,000 in Maricopa County. So better than 69,900 people. And I'm still dropping money to learn. You know why? Because the market's different and you got to pivot. So to answer your questions, why now? You have to figure out, if I can get advanced selling techniques on how to communicate with people, discover what their problems are, and figure out a great way to solve them and provide solutions, I can sell in this market better than a traditional realtor who's doing maybe, and forgive me if I'm throwing names out there, but like a common Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry script, nothing wrong with them, but those aren't like problem scripts. Those are like, hey, let me come sell your house. Those are dated 10, 20, 30 years ago. So
50 years ago.
Yes, exactly. 50 years ago. So I'm thinking, okay, if I want to stay as the top 30 agents out of 70,000, what does the next chapter of business look like? For me, it's understanding human psychology at a deeper level. It's figuring out how to take a difficult industry, like you said. Agents hate scripts. They hate anything. They are so tough to coach. However, I figured out, if we can figure out what I like to call them is talk tracks. Here's like bowling with bumpers, right? NEPQ has been like, here's the stages of your conversation you should walk through. I do teach this heavily to my team. They're coached 4 times a week. And that's my reason for investing into doing this, is how can I figure out how to convert my internet buyer leads, my open house, everything. Even an open house thing is different for me. So that's kind of where I see this next step, is getting paid to solve problems. That's what you have to do now.
So when you say you coach your agents 4 times a week, right? That's your agents. But how much time are you spending yourself personally, would you say, improving your skills at this point in the game?
Hour a day minimum. That's my rule. Hour a day minimum.
So is it 5 hours or 7 hours?
7 hours. Hour a day. If you want to be a pro, this is my definition, you want to be a pro in like this sport. We're not NBA players, whatever, we paid pretty good. It's an hour a day. That's like my minimum standard.
Okay, so you're a top producer. You have a team full of highly producing agents. Why is it so important for you, right? I know you said it a minute ago, but how important is it? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for an agent that maybe is doing like half a deal a month on average, so 6 deals a year, and they want to go to like 12, maybe 15 or 18? How important is it for them to time block if you're spending an hour and you're fucking killing it? How much time should an average agent, or how much time should a struggling agent, or how much time would you recommend to your agents for them to put on the calendar for like maybe 90 days?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually relate that back to my team. I say, guys, if I'm at an hour and I'm managing a team, a couple different businesses, you should be a minimum as much as me, because I'm still your competition. So no matter where you're at, it should be a minimum at least 1 to 2 hours a day. I think an hour a day is a great metric still, because that's enough. Here's where I see that. Realistically, agents aren't going to do most of the stuff you teach them. If you go too crazy, like, hey, I want you to study 2 hours a day and do this, it's cool. So my business plans for them are like, this is one page. Here's your 30-day plan, 60-day plan, 90-day plan. I want you to work on yourself 1 hour a day. So I hold myself to the same standards as them.
And then in your 1 hour a day, okay, because I think there's a difference between role playing to warm up to get on a call and actually studying and then actually reviewing your calls. So like, are we doing an hour a day total? Are we doing an hour of new learning and educating? Are we doing an hour of role? Like, what do you recommend?
Yeah, it's another great question. So I leave it up to them, because Mondays with my team, they're going to have in-person role play with me.
Okay.
Going with me. Yeah.
Okay.
In addition, on Monday and Friday, they're going to have a Zoom call that's led most of the time, 90%, it's not by me. It's from a former Tony Robbins coach. And that's like implementation, coaching, all the stuff that I don't have to teach them. So I'm already giving them a couple hours a day there. Wednesday, they have an accountability meeting. So to answer your question, I tell them, guys, you got pretty much 3 options. Listen to a podcast, work in a coaching program, whether it's ours, Real, or one of the other sources that you have, or role play with somebody. One of those 3 for an hour. I have to dumb it down to make it simple.
I want to dig into this because like I just want to ensure I'm hearing this right, because I think a lot of team leads, they bring somebody on their team and they just expect them to be like, oh, they should just sell. You know, they've done 6 deals, and it sounds like you're investing into not only a lot of coaching for yourself, but a lot of coaching for your team. Can like you walk us through it, like maybe in transparently, like what you think good coaching looks like for a team, and like what you specifically do in order to help your team flourish? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot. So I just wonder if you can unpack, like, do you provide leads? Like what are you doing for your team?
Yeah. I'll unpack everything. So we'll take it kind of slow. We'll start with like a weekly schedule. So Monday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. is in-person coaching with me. You show up on time, and it's 15-minute sections. Like, this is the role play. This is another theme for 15 minutes, whatever it is. So it's 10 to 11. 11 and 12 is the higher level coaching from the former Tony Robbins guy, right? Wednesday is an accountability meeting. That's another Zoom meeting where I'm doing an accountability call, going over the metrics and things that they're supposed to be doing, asking people where they're at, if not why. You know, it's a positive tone. It's not a harsh, like, I'm going to rip into you call, but this is a positive, productive accountability call. Friday, it's another one of those, we'll say Tony Robbins style. It's all real estate. I say Tony Robbins because that's the energy he brings. It's all real estate though. So there's the weekly schedule. I think coaching needs to be everything from systems, marketing, culture, and leadership. I think there's 4 great things that make a team and culture. So there's a foundation. From there, they all have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan. So it's like, here's exactly how you're going to get started on my team. Here's what I expect from you. They're given the culture and then standards that we're supposed to uphold. And then in addition, they're welcomed into a tribe. So they have me, they have that other Zoom call coach. They have a couple of other business professionals. They're top lenders in the state of Arizona that do a monthly mastermind with us. So I try and get them into a world where it's not just me, but there's other people pouring into them. I try and make their life as simple as I can. Next up, I help build their schedule. So here's what your schedule should look like. And again,
what should their schedule look like?
Yeah. So any red items, get your red items. Red items is like, get this stuff out of the way early, like an inspection report or something that's not making you money. Get that done between like 7 to 8 a.m. From anywhere from 8 to 11 a.m. is prospecting. You got to prospect 3 hours a day, either 8 to 11 or 4 to 7. So typically it should like 8 to 11 or like 8 to 11 prospecting, 11 to 12. Every day we'll have a theme. 11 to 12 is either a coaching day. If it's not a coaching day, it'll be from 11 to 12 on Tuesdays, you're going to call all your past clients, like a group of them. 11 to 12 on Wednesdays, you're going to call your VIP top 50 list, your top favorite 50 referral partners. On Thursday, you're going to spend time from 11 to 12 DMing and messaging on social media like Instagram and Facebook. So it's just super simple. And then it's like, hey, I'd say like, hey, Cody, if you want to go play golf on Thursday, do it. Golf at like 3 though. Don't golf at 9 a.m. because you're not going to get anything done. So that's the foundation of some of their schedule is typically how I'll build it out with a theme of the day and then 3 hours of prospecting and then 1 hour of a specific metric like past clients or things like that. And I think any questions on that? Because I think Cody'd asked me about like leads and other team stuff. So
yeah, I'm wondering about other things such as like leads, because I know certain team leads have different philosophies around the types of support that they give to their agents. And like, I guess I have a 2-part question. The first question is like, what do you think you as a team lead do differently than other team leads that you've chatted with? Because you're obviously with Real, you've chatted with tons of agents from across the country. But the second thing is like, if somebody is out there thinking about joining a team, what should they look for?
It's a great question. I think the number one thing that we do different is I push them to build their brand. And my team is not the Alex Prewitt group at Real. It's not Prewitt Real Estate. It's called Living Arizona. And my team, my agents are selling partners. So I welcome them in as a selling partner. And what I do is I push them to grow your brand. I'll literally be like, why do you have nothing on social media? Or why do you have your private Instagram profile? Like people can't even find you, right? So most team leads are, come on, 50-50 split, take some Zillow leads, Op City, we're cool. Come in and turn and burn. I think I'm different in that we do wealth planning with our team. We do monthly happy hours and get-togethers. We have all this coaching. We have pretty good culture. And then from there, I actually push them to build their brand, which I think is a little non-traditional for most teams. They're like, it's the Alex Prewitt group. It's my show. It's my name on everything. For me, I introduce them as a selling partner. And I say, you can grow as much as you want under Living Arizona. If you just kick butt and all of a sudden you're crushing it and you feel like you're ready to step up and have a team, I'll help show you how to do it. You can be a team leader under Living Arizona and grow your own little branch. So then from there, I give them, and I just hadn't experienced this before, I give them a vision on where they can keep taking their career beyond sales. Because eventually, if you don't give them what's next for me other than sales, why would they stay with you? Like, I'm good, dude. I'm selling 10 million a year. I'm just going to go fly solo. If I give them a path to go to, I find that I have a lot better retention.
When we talk about brand building, because Cody and I, we met for the first time in Vegas at a brand building event. We'd been friends for a while, but we met at a brand building event. And we decided last year, it was right around this time, maybe a month or two prior, that we were both going to go hard and we were going to hold each other accountable to going hard on social, not for instant results, but just to long-term longevity. Like, this is not going away. It's free right now. Who knows what it'll be in 5 years, but right now it's free. What do you tell your agents to put out there? Because I see real estate agents and I've had calls with them and they're like, all I get is sexual like propositions. I'm like, well, have you seen your Instagram page? Like, there's a lot of cleavage and bikinis and a lot of, like that's what you're promoting. Like, so what are you helping them promote? Because I think a lot of people want to make a brand, but they don't know where to start.
Yeah. Another great question. I break it down to this. I teach a class on this. I say, what's your store look like? If I Google you, what's your store? Is your store bikini pics and like thongs hanging out? Or is your store another really boring page of just listed, just sold, and random Canva things that every other realtor does? Like, what's going to keep me at your store? If I Google you, what's on your website? Do you have any reviews? And then your Instagram and Facebook comes up and I stumble across on Instagram. What is your actual store? Because consumers start where? They start online. And if they stumble across your page, how does your store look? Is your name, phone number, and email, and a link tree tied to your accounts? Can they walk into your store? Can they get into your website? And then from there, if they stumble across your social media, what's going to keep them there? Well, if you want sexual harassment, booty pics will keep you there. If you want clients, valuable content will. speaking your truth, educating the market. For me, I have a mix of just me, genuine me, and then I have videos, I have content, and it's not a bunch of pages of just listed, just sold, pending, because that's just like another flyer that you get in a mailbox. So I teach them, think of your brand as a store. How are you going to get people to come see your store? And then if they peek in the window, how are you going to keep them engaged? Are they going to go down the rabbit hole of watching 5 or 10 of your videos? And they're like, all right, this dude's cool, I'll follow him. And then one day something triggers in their head and they're like, that video got me. I think I should ask him about buying an Airbnb in Scottsdale. So it does take effort. I think you asked a great question, because I feel like I see real estate agents, they're either one of two things. They either copy all of the other realtors and do the same boring crap. I'm like, sweet, your page is just full of like closed, sold, whatever. This is really boring.
And you know, the funny thing is like, if you're supposed to post one piece of content a day, and your whole thing is just sold, just listed, you're only doing on average 3 deals a year if you're the average agent. There's so many agents who do like 0 deals a year. So you see like these huge gaps, and it's hilarious because I'll go through people's pages and I'll do an audit for them. I'm like, so what happened between April and August? Like, well, we didn't close any deals. I was like, yeah. And then you post something in August, and then there's another gap between August and December. I'm like, you basically tell your clients like you suck because you showed them exactly what you're doing. It's like, hey, hi, I'm here. I suck, but I'm going to just do the same thing that the other agent that sold 3 houses a year did. I'm not going to copy Alex, who sold $50 billion last year, who's doing all this stuff. I'm going to copy the agent at the water cooler that's talking shit about Zillow.
It's so funny. It's exactly right. I tell people to copy. You're like, dude, go ahead, copy my videos. You know why? I don't care, because you're not going to anyways. You're not going to take the effort. Go ahead and try, copy them. I would love it if you did, but you're going to get tired after 3 of them. And I'm going to be in your face relentlessly, and you're never going to stop seeing my videos every single week to the end of time. I'm in your face. So that's my view on social media. You got to live somewhere outside of the booty pics and the just listed, just sold. You got to have your own brand and your own store. So that's how I visually like see it and teach it.
You had mentioned that a large portion of your business right now is coming from listings, and you called it social door knocking. I'm curious if you could walk us through what that means, what that looks like, and how an agent that might potentially have a listing might be able to leverage kind of this artifact that you had mentioned.
Oh yeah. So there's a couple ways that we can social door knock. Number one is, when I do post content, I actually pay attention to who is liking and engaging with my stories and then my posts. So if I'm like, all right, this dude Vikram's watched all of my stories every single time. Have I even like looked at his page once? Probably not, because I'm so self-absorbed in my own stuff that all I care about is my own self-gratification, right? So I'll go to Vikram's page and I'll like 2 posts, and then I'll react to one of his stories, and that's it. And a few days later, I'll drop him a message. I just door knocked Vikram and said, hey, I see you. I see that you're seeing me. I appreciate all of your likes on my videos. And I know that you're watching my stories. I know you might be curious about me in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to knock you back. I'm going to like 2 of your posts and react to one of your stories. And then, I don't know, 3 to 5 or a week later, I'm going to drop you a message. And now I have you in what I see as my CRM. Now it's just like you're in Follow Up Boss or Real Geeks, and I can drop you a message, right? So that's the way I visualize social door knocking. Number 2, if I have a listing in a neighborhood, there's one here called McDowell Mountain Ranch. I will look at restaurants in the area, and I will find people who have I'll look at establishments and people who have liked pages in the area, and I'll basically just search anybody that's hashtagged that location, like hashtag McDowell Mountain Ranch or Scottsdale, whatever. It has to be kind of niche down. And I'll look at a couple people's profiles, and I'll just look for another person who is maybe like a pool guy, a business owner, or a yoga teacher that's like clearly in the community. Then I'll follow them, and what am I going to do? Like 2 posts and react to one of their stories. So then I get them into my funnel. They'll typically will like me back, and we'll start create conversations that way. So that's how I see it as door knocking. It's just letting people know that I see them, I hear them. Thanks for engaging with me. Let's start the conversation from there. And then I'll open up it eventually with, I may say something like, hey, it's funny, you're in McDowell Ranch. Have you ever been curious to see like what the average home value is here? Or have you ever been curious about what's really going on in the community for home values here? I know you teach yoga at the studio, and just casual conversation like that.
When agents, I think this is a good time to talk about, what we've been learning about human psychology. And I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. I was a platinum partner in 2017 and 2018, and a lot of personal development. When we talk about selling, modern day selling, right? The consumer's changed, AI has changed, the world has changed, COVID has changed everything. Everything has changed except for the way that brokers and team leaders teach their stuff. Like I'm not going to mention names, but the name that you had mentioned earlier sent out some trial things to say to people to generate more business. And one of the lines was something like, go and if you're out talking to people, ask them if they know anybody who's tried to sell a home and not been able to sell it. And then you say, really? You don't know anybody? Because we know the answer is going to be no, right? And it's like, there's certain lines that are being said out there in the world that are like, okay, if you have really good tone and cadence and delivery, it probably won't offend the people. But most people don't have great tone. They don't have great delivery. They don't have good cadence. They don't know how to, pause and slow down and modulate and all that stuff. So when you're out there as a successful person that you are, and you're using this new form of technology that you're learning, because training is technology, right? It's technology for our brains. And you're out there, you're doing it. What are you noticing in your agents that's different now than it was maybe 6 months ago?
Oh man, I'm getting a lot less of like leads suck, or they're getting better they're having better conversations. And I'm noticing that after I start teaching these agents this stuff, I can ask you, and they're like, oh, I got this new buyer. And before it was like, oh yeah, they're like, they want to buy a house like in Scottsdale, $500K. Like, okay, well, you didn't really tell me about why.
Right.
Well, why are they buying? Do they have kids? Now they're like, yeah, his name's Vikram. He's getting married. They're buying their first house. They want a 3-2 in Scottsdale, and they have a dog, and like they both work at the Mayo Clinic. So that they're like, okay, cool. So my people have a little bit more. They spent more time in discovery now. So versus again, I think what you said is right. Like I think the cadence and the tone and the delivery is super impactful. I agree. I think you were really spot on with that.
When you were teaching prior, right? And you don't have to drop any names. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because I think there's a lot of great programs and people out there, but maybe they're not updated as well. But when you were teaching people the previous way that you're teaching them, what is one thing that you've noticed now that you're using more human persuasion, human psychology? What is one thing that you notice now that you might not personally have noticed because of the training you're going through for yourself? And
yeah, I
the
think
team.
One thing I've noticed now is that before, and I think again, you're saying it really well, that we get taught all these like objection handlers, but the objection diffusers are very dated. These systems might work great for some people. And now one thing I've noticed is that the objections are, if you're getting objection, it's probably you. You're actually the objection, not the client, right? Once you understand NEPQ and like the right verbiage and tone, like I think you're the one getting in the way and creating the objections. If you didn't have the right tone and delivery, and yes, you're not going to get every appointment. However, there are some of these objections. It's not the client. It's not the lead. It's typically you. So that was kind of a big light bulb. I can teach you all the coolest things in the world, but are you listening? Are you spending time in discovery? Are you delivering with the right tone? Are you being curious when you need to be curious? And then I realized, okay, these objections are actually, it's us. It's my agents. It's not like the sellers or the buyers. That was a big thing for me. If I don't know, hopefully that makes sense.
No, and I love this because me and Vic talk about this consistently, even with our inside sales agents. like the people we coach, we're like, you triggered sales resistance here. But even with our real estate agents, like, how were you able as a team leader? Because I think that there's probably a lot of team leaders that want to train their sales team to not trigger sales resistance, but to have better conversations. And it sounds like you were able to kind of get through to them, where I think a lot of real estate agents, they're almost tone deaf. Like, they can't hear how bad they sound on the phone, even when you show them how bad they sound on the phone. Was there like something that you were able to do, or like that, like, did you face resistance when you first implemented this in your sales team? And if so, how are you able to overcome the resistance you faced with your sales team around teaching them something new that could help them, but we generally as creatures don't want to change the way that we're doing things?
Yeah. So the way that I found most success is that Monday meeting with the role play, because what I'll do is I'll have people bounce back and forth, and then I'll say, okay, time out. And I'll say, what did you guys as a group like? What did you dislike? And then they'll hear me roll right into it. Okay, here's how I'd have done it. So they literally hear and see what they've probably already been saying. And you're like, well, that doesn't sound very good. I think I just said that. And then they hear me say it. They're like, dang, he's smooth. I'm sold. Where do I sign? Like, give me the contract right now. So I think it's just getting down. And I don't know if a lot of team leaders really want to invest that 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week of like getting in the trenches with them, making them speak, and then letting them hear the difference. Because I think you can teach them scripts, but unless they hear it and actually see it, that was when it finally clicked. It was when we really were like, hey guys, let's have a conversation. You walk into open house, go. What are you going to say to me? Right? And then they stumble a little bit. And then when they start to feel really good, they're like, okay, it works. And then they try it. Then the first time they try it and it works, then they're sold, because then it's awesome when you get the text like, hey dude, I used what you said on these calls and it's really working. I'm like, I know it does. I told you. I'm like, I know. I know what I'm doing. I told you. So it just takes a little time, but it takes more effort than maybe some are willing to do. And there's also amazing team leaders who are probably doing this too.
Yeah, I have a client that I've been working with for a few months now, and he just put $3 million in escrow last week.
Dang, let's go.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm like, what do you derive what's your reason that you're so much more successful than ever? 26 years old, 1 year in real estate. Like, why are you so much better than everybody in your office? You got 5-year veterans that for the whole year will do 6, and he did 3 in a week as a brand new 1 year in agent. And he just says, bro, like, I changed my tone. He's like, I changed my tone. Like, I changed my tone. I slowed down and I started to listen to what people said. And then because I listened and I come to the role play calls with us, it's just like, whoa. In our office, before I retired from real estate, we role played in our office every day. The top people would be there at 7 because I would get there at 7. And I remember we got locked out of the office. All of us had left our key because like Vixall was there. Vixall was there. We don't need to bring our key. So I left my key at home. They left their key at home. I left my key in my car and went to the dealership. And we're sitting there in the hallway of the office, and people are walking by us, and we're just sitting there with role playing and just hammering. And we would role play 5 hours a week, my top ones. And then the guys that were like ISAs or whatever, they'd show up at 7:30 and they would role play for 2.5 hours a week. And everybody's like, oh my God, Vic's buying leads, or, Vic's getting the good Zillow leads. He's getting the primo uptown Zillow. And it's like, that's not the case. It's just a skills thing. Would you say, and we got to wrap up. So I don't know if Cody has another question, but this is a quick question. Would you say that most agents are lead problem or conversion problem at the beginning? Or maybe even like
all day.
And why does every agent out there, right? Like 80-90% of agents, if you poll them, that aren't doing as well as they want, why do they always say then that it's a lead issue?
I think it stems from the top, and it stems from like the changing of the guard. We're in a time where it's like the old guard is coming out and the new guard's coming in. And I say that because they come in and the old guard is like, no offense, like old team leaders who are maybe 50, 60 now, and they come in and they have a preconceived way of doing real estate. So the agent comes in and he sees one thing and he experiences one thing. And I think it's a changing of the guard from the newer people like you who understand how to set those proper expectations with an agent. I think it's just, we're in a transition period where there's new leaders emerging, and a lot of those agents are going to like the old team leader who's 50, who hasn't sold a house in 10 years, who still uses dated scripts. And they go to this 30 or 40 person mega team that's a Zillow team, is turning to burn. And I think their teams are great. I have 15 and I want to get to like 30. Be awesome. However, I think that the agents just don't get proper expectations. And then our industry is the wild, wild west. You just get your license and you come in. It's straight wild, wild west. I mean, I'm in Arizona. It really is the wild west. There's no standards. There's no expectations. There's no like, come in and this is the level that you have to perform at. This is the service that you have to give your clients. So it's just a wild card, and agents are actually set up to fail the way our industry is. They're set up to fail because it is so reckless and wild. There's no standards. You're lucky if you get on a good team. I was lucky to have some great mentors.
I want to wrap up with this one final question today. It sounds like it's always interesting. You chat with people that are winning, and they're like, there is definitely an element of you share a very similar ethos to business and to life. You mentioned mentors, and I want to wrap up and figure out like what would you say to a real estate agent that's getting in the business that wants to seek out a mentor? A, how do they find that mentor? And B, what should they be looking to learn from that mentor about the real estate business?
I think they should learn how to be a 3D agent. Like, I think they should learn somebody who knows how to give good service and help somebody buy and sell a house. Then I think they should have somebody who teaches them about real estate, like buying rentals, off market. Like, agents, they need to have a team leader who's going to be like, this is how do you create raving fans? This is really how you help a buyer. This is how you help a seller. And then this is real estate. Here's how you go out and buy rentals. Here's how you build wealth. So again, I think it's kind of one of the beginning things is like somebody that can show you systems and marketing and culture and leadership. But I think 3D agent, meaning like a lot of these guys are just been 20 years and you only own one house. Like, you don't really understand real estate. You understand like converting a Zillow lead for a paycheck, but like you don't really get in real estate all the way. So I know because like I've seen both sides, and I'm blessed to have some great mentors now that teach real estate, not just selling houses.
Man, so much value today. I really do appreciate it, Alexander, for just sitting down with us today, just kind of sharing your story, sharing just so many insights about sales. And I know that this is super fun because you share a very similar ethos to sales, to business, to life. And if somebody were to want to reach you and they want, maybe it's an agent-to-agent referral, maybe they're in the Arizona market and they want to learn a little bit more about your team, help you get to the 30 team that you're looking to get to. Where's the best place that we can send them in order to have a conversation with you?
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys. It's been awesome. I think Instagram's great. It's just Alex Prewitt _ So, because I'm on Instagram pretty often, so I think it's best place. Shoot me a message on there. Reach out. Great place to connect. And likewise, I've really enjoyed it with you guys. It's been an awesome, fun conversation.
Awesome, Alex. I really do appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast, the #1 real estate podcast in the world. We'll see you soon.